5. Well, um, we were here in the studio and we wanted to make a quick video. Ha ha ha. And so this is take 5. But we just wanted to make a real quick video thanking everybody for all their support. You know, we recently put out a video about the Fisher family in Virginia, and we really appreciate everyone sharing that, praying for this family, sharing the information. If you contributed to the Give, Send, Go, thank you very much. We have some new subscribers, so we kind of wanted to introduce ourselves. I'm TD. That's my beautiful wife, Faith. And we relocated. We strategically relocated about 10 years ago now, and we wanted to live a more intentional life. We wanted to know where our food came from. And so we've been attempting to kind of like grow our own food and attempting to grow children, to grow the next generation. And in that process, we have just been meeting so many awesome, sweet, dear people. And we're so thankful, whether it's at our local beef pickup. If you are local to the Northeast Texas area, you can go to TheTexasBoys.com and check out our meat shop. And we sell beef and pork here locally. We've been just meeting some awesome people. Then today we had a triple trifecta. We're also selling our Coonies babies, and we had an awesome couple stop by. We got to meet them and hear their story and their desire to try to grow their own food and be involved in their own future and not leave it up to Walmart and whatnot. And then we had an awesome customer from Tennessee, and she purchased a large honey order that got damaged in shipping. And I got to speak to her. She was just the most wonderful, beautiful, sweetest person in the world. And then lastly, we talked to a family that is local to here that are also selling their Coonies online. And it was hilarious. In their ad, they used the Texas Boys, so I prank called them. And it was really neat. I got to talk to them and get to hear their story. It's so encouraging. And while all this online stuff is great and having like an online social network, it's so much more important to meet people in real life. So for all you older folks that aren't hipsters, that's IRL. When you hear somebody say IRL, that's in real life. And that's where we want to build this parallel society, parallel community, parallel economy is in real life. And what do you think, Mama, about all these really neat people?
Absolutely. It's been a blast just getting to meet all of these sweet people, local people, and so many people are just being encouraged by just rubbing elbows together. It just, one person encourages another person. It's just been great. So, and it builds into the bigger community, which is what we're talking about here. You know, the bigger issues that are in play. And I just love that some of the top talking points of the carnivore movement are addressing these bigger issues. It's so important.
Yeah, it's really neat because I've been saying, hey, these carnivore docs that have realized the health benefits of this diet, you know, they really need to also push back against all this technocratic control of them trying to destroy our food supply.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's going on with the Fisher family in Virginia. And then today, Dr. Chafee, who's a doctor in Australia, he's up in Canada, and he's at this legacy ranch that this woman has had in her family for an incredibly long time. And he put out a video, so we wanted to share part of that video with you. I'll let Dr. Chafee explain the scenario, but this topic isn't a United States thing, or this is a global thing,
Right.
And it's a control thing, and this is what the technocrats are doing, and we need to, one, be aware of it, and two, obviously resist it and push back against it. And I'll let Dr. Chafee explain what's going on.
Just wanted to do a quick video just to tell you about something I just found out. I'm here on Maggie's ranch. It's absolutely gorgeous. She's got quite a number of cattle, good area of land, and it's beautiful, absolutely wonderful up here in Alberta. And I think we are knowing more and more about how the plight of ranchers is getting worse and worse, and that's for a number of reasons. And you can watch my episode with Maggie to talk more about that. But what I wanted to point out here was something I think is worse, certainly just as bad. I don't know if anyone will be able to help with this, or if enough people get aware of it that people up in Canada can, write their politician and make enough noise to try to undo this, because it's absolute garbage. So she has had this property for decades and decades and decades. It's been 5 generations of family. She married into this part. She had her own, but and then she married into this. And they consistently lose money because it's a very difficult operation. But something happened back in the 70s. The Canadian government decided that your land is not your land. The land belongs to the people, sort of like USSR and China and other sorts of places that have gone down that road. And so, okay, well, you can have the top of it because you paid for it, but all the minerals and the oil and the natural gas, the diamonds, the gold, anything underneath the surface belongs to the government. So they've stolen people's land and their, the valuable, minerals and substances below the ground. So in Alberta, it's very rich in natural gas, among other things. And on this land, they have had a very high producing natural gas well that's been going for over 30 years. Okay, maybe a lot more than 30 years, 30, 40 years. And the government decided they own that. They auctioned that off to the highest bidder. And the ranchers and landowners get nothing. They don't get anything. Back in the 70s, when this first came about, they decided that, well, since you can't be using the land that we have the well on, and you can't use, you can't farm, you can't graze, you can't sell the land, really. It's not usable. Well, we'll pay, a fair rate for that. And that was $3,500. And that has been grandfathered in. It doesn't change, so it's still $3,500. So now, in 2023, they're getting $3,500 for what is likely hundreds of millions of dollars worth of natural gas that by rights should be theirs and all the other landowners in Canada. So Maggie shouldn't be struggling. Maggie should be gloriously wealthy, but she's not. She's struggling. She's in massive amounts of debt. She has to keep selling off pieces of land. The land's very valuable. Not that she's getting paid for it by these people, but she has to keep selling off more and more land just to keep up with her debt. And so if anybody says, well, big cattle and there is no big cattle. It's not, the packing plants and things like that, maybe. But
So I just wanted to draw some attention to this. Dr. Shafee had asked that some folks draw attention to this. And so, it shows you, one, the long game. This whole thing has been in play for even much longer than the 70s, but they implement this type of legislature and then it stays asleep until they want to activate it, and then when you have a good crisis like the Rona or whatever, now they're going to cut different things and everything is that fault and whatnot. And here you have a family that has had this property, they're raising their own food, and just because of the big squeeze of big ag and big bro, They just continue. The goal is it's a choke point to choke them out. And this isn't a U.S. thing. This is like a global thing. This is happening in every country. This is happening in the Netherlands. It's happening in the States. It's happening in Canada. It's happening in South America. So there's not a redoubt, y'all. This is a shakedown, takedown, destruction of the food system. Mm-hmm. And, other than actively participating in the raising and rearing of your own food, the only other thing that you can do is educate and inform. Obviously, we're Christians. We pray and seek God. But other than, there's no way to vote our way out of this. I'm not asking you to call your politician or whatever, because I think that doesn't do anything. But we have to be active, one, in growing our own food and being part of that process, knowing your farmer, knowing where your food comes from. Maybe you can't grow your own food, but know your farmer, right? And know your farmer and support your farmer. Don't undercut your farmer for Walmart or whatever. They're rolling out this crazy thing in Dallas, right, where Walmart is going to deliver your stuff with drones. And that is rolling out here in Texas, y'all. So this is all part of the, why would they do that now? Well, there's probably going to be a lockdown, okay? Probably. That's why they're getting ready to roll out this drone delivery. There's nobody in East Texas, y'all, that wants anything delivered to their house in a drone. And there's a lot of hillbillies that are really excited about this right now because it's going to be some cool target practice. I'm just saying. But but what do you think, Mama?
Well, I just think that the topic's really interesting because mineral rights are a big thing, especially if you live in Texas. I know in other states as well, surface minerals and then also ground minerals are a huge issue. Most of the time when you buy property, you do not own the mineral rights underneath the property. And when we see these issues like the Dutch farmers' issues and what the government does to manipulate that and steal their cattle, steal their land, whether it's in the name of energy or whatever, fill in the blank, saving the planet, or in the name of just greed in this situation in Canada where they say, we own it, it's ours, you got to move all your cows off, and we're just going to come in and do what we need to do because we own the gas and the mineral rights. That's really just handwriting on the wall, I think, for us in the U.S. to take notes of all of these things, to make noise, to shed light on all of these things, because if it can happen to the Dutch, if it can happen in Canada, it can absolutely happen here. And most of us do not own our own mineral rights. And how easy is it for our crooked and corrupt people that are ruling over us to look at those things that are going on in Canada and being like, oh, wow, we could do that. That's an easy playbook, and then we'll have more gas and more natural resources. And as a side effect, we'll get rid of all the cows.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's the other reason to support Thomas Massey has this. I think it's called the Prime Act, and it's about the local processing of food. It's about decentralizing our food processing rather than centralizing it into 3 or 6 transnational processors, right? Mm-hmm. It's about at least providing legal not infrastructure, but the ease of legal, all these restrictions to allow local people to process food locally and distribute it locally. The decentralization process just makes way too much sense in light of all of these bottlenecks that have been artificially created. So this is just some more, something else that we wanted to keep y'all apprised of. And like I said, we appreciate and love y'all. We appreciate the community. We appreciate all of our customers over at the website at TheTexasBoys.com, and we appreciate it when we get to meet y'all in real life. And that being said, Lord willing, we are going to be at Mountain Readiness at the end of October, October 19th, 20th, and 21st. That's in Hickory, North Carolina. And some of us Texas boys are going to be there. We're looking forward to meeting y'all there in real life. And we hope y'all have a blessed day. And we'll see y'all in the next video.